In an era when the ball was heavy, studs cut like knives, and shots knew no mercy, soccer wasn't a controlled game, but a physical clash of will, power, and instinct. Stadiums shook, nets ripped, goalkeepers stood half a step too close, and a single contact was enough to derail careers forever. These were moments when a shot didn't just mean a goal, but crossed a line. These are seven legends whose shot power didn't just decide games. And we begin with the first name. Top 1, Roberto Carlos. Roberto Carlos wasn't just a left back. He was a physical anomaly in the system of soccer. Over 100 competitive goals from defense, national championships, Champions League titles, the World Cup, numbers that really had no place for his position. But statistics don't explain why stadiums changed as soon as he started his run-up. The moment before his shot was never still, but tense, almost menacing, as if everyone in the vicinity knew something uncontrollable was about to happen. His left foot generated a combination of power and rotation that even modern tracking systems years later classified as extreme. The ball left the grass, accelerated, curved, seemingly corrected itself in the air. Goalkeepers didn't react too late. They reacted to something moving against logic. Field players who tried to block paid the price. Deflected shots ended in broken bones, torn ligaments, careers that never found their original path after a single contact. Not out of brutality, but because this shot power left no room for error. Today, Roberto Carlos is a permanent figure in soccer's culture of remembrance. His name hangs on stadium walls, training centers, and video sequences that connect generations. In Madrid, his left foot is spoken of like a myth. In Brazil, he is considered the benchmark for the impossible. He himself sits calmly in honorary stands, while his legacy continues to shoot through time with full force. His shot didn't just hit the net, it changed the game for everyone in its path. Top 2, Adriano. Lede Ribeiro didn't enter European football as a talent, but as an impact. Goals in series, titles in Italy, the Copa America triumph, awards as the tournament's best player. Everything happened at a pace that overwhelmed even experienced defenders. His body seemed cast from steel, his left foot like a sledgehammer. When Adriano took a shot, it wasn't an attempt, it was a statement. The ball left his foot with a force that goalkeepers didn't calculate, but survived. What made his shot so dangerous wasn't just the power, but the short, explosive movement. Minimal backswing, maximum energy transfer, a flat point of impact. Modern analyses show that the ball's acceleration in the first few meters was exceptionally high. Too high to position oneself in time, defenders who tried to block the shot found themselves in situations for which the human body is not built. Broken metatarsals, shattered ankles, long rehabilitation phases. For some opponents, a single attempt to block Adriano marked the beginning of permanent physical deterioration. Today, his name lives on, less through current titles than through images. Old Inter nights, the roar of the San Siro, goalkeepers on the ground too late. Adriano himself rarely appears. Quiet, heavier, a man whose career burned out like a comet, while his shots continue to haunt archives. His left foot wasn't a technique, it was a collision with reality. Top 3, Gabriel Batistuta. Gabriel Batistuta redefined strikers long before data models found words for it. Over 300 competitive goals, series records in Italy, World Cup and Copa America triumphs. A career that thrived on consistency and power. But his reputation didn't come from statistics alone. It arose the moment Batistuta struck the ball with his instep. The contact was hard, direct, non-negotiable. Nets stretched to breaking point. Goalkeepers recoiled as if the ground had been pulled out from under them. The peculiarity lay in the mechanics. Batistuta's shot combined an unusually high run-up speed with an extremely stable upper body. The ball received almost no spin, but maximum forward energy. Modern reanalyses show impact values where reaction windows practically didn't exist. Defenders who put their body in the way encountered a force that overwhelmed the human protective reflex. Blocks ended in bruised shins, foot fractures, injuries after which movements were never the same again. For individual opponents, a single moment against Batistuta marked the turning point of a previously intact career. Today, his name is firmly rooted in Florence and Rome. Banners, chants, archive images of goals that were not elegant but definitive. Batistuta himself appears calm, controlled, a man who knows what his shots have caused, on scoreboards and on bodies. He didn't shoot to hit, he shot to decide. Top 4, Ronald Koeman. Ronald Koeman was a defender who broke statistics. Over 200 competitive goals from the back line, championships in multiple countries, the decisive goal in the European Cup final. Numbers that typically belong to strikers. But Koeman's influence began long before the goal. It began the moment the ball was still. Free kicks from 30 meters weren't an invitation, they were a threat. When Koeman started his run-up, everyone knew the shot wouldn't be placed, but would come uncompromisingly. His technique was brutally efficient. A short run-up, a hard instep, minimal rotation. The ball stayed low, accelerated late, and hit with a force that modern measurements classify as extraordinary. Goalkeepers reacted instinctively, not strategically. Field players who threw themselves into the shot's path took a risk that was rarely questioned back then. Broken toes, shin injuries, dislocated ankles. There are several documented situations where an attempt to block Koeman resulted in months-long breaks. Not intentionally, but because his shots left no room for human error. Today, Koeman is part of soccer's institutional memory, coaching benches, analysis studios, honor rolls. In Barcelona and the Netherlands, his right foot is still cited as a benchmark for uncompromising efficiency. He stands calmly on the sideline, while old footage shows defenders arriving late and bodies paying the price. His shot wasn't a stylistic device, it was a consequence. Top 5, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was never part of a system, he was his own benchmark. Championship titles in multiple countries, over 500 competitive goals, iconic strikes from impossible angles. His career couldn't be categorized, only observed. But beyond the acrobatics, it was the raw power of his finishes that changed opponents. When Zlatan shot, the ball didn't just come fast, it came heavy. A contact that felt like a collision, not a sporting action. The peculiarity lay in the combination of height, leverage, and technique. An extremely stable stance, an explosive hip drive, an instep that released the ball without warning. Tracking data from later years showed unusually high terminal velocities with simultaneously short reaction times. Goalkeepers were often in the right position and still powerless. Defenders who tried to block found themselves in situations their bodies couldn't process. Broken fingers from defensive movements, knee injuries from uncontrolled evasive steps, careers that never found the same aggression after a single contact. Zlatan's shots didn't just hit the goal, they set boundaries. Today, he is a figure between myth and presence. Interviews, appearances, training grounds where young players listen when he speaks. His goals play on endless loops. His finishes still feel physical, even on screen. He stands upright, slow, confident. While his pass continues to hit hard, his shot didn't ask for permission. It took it. Top 6, Clarence Seedorf. Clarence Seedorf wasn't a classic long-range shooter. He was a midfielder with the striking power of a jackhammer. Championship titles in 3 countries, Champions League victories with different clubs, goals in Europe's biggest nights. His career thrived on presence and control. But when Seedorf shot from outside the box, the order of the game changed. The ball didn't come surprisingly, it came inevitably, like a train that can no longer be stopped. His shooting mechanics were unusual, minimal run-up, a low center of gravity, maximum power transfer from the hip. The ball received a hard, linear trajectory, without visible spin, but with enormous terminal velocity. Modern analyses speak of extremely short reaction windows, especially for central finishes. Defenders who tried to block the shot opposed a force that the body couldn't absorb. Bruises, foot fractures, missed playing seasons. Several opponents paid the price for a moment too much courage. Seedorf's shots weren't cruel, but they were uncompromising. Today, Seedorf is a quiet observer of the game. Analysis studios, coaching roles, appearances as an explanatory voice of a bygone generation. His long-range goals still play in slow motion, not for their beauty, but for their force. He stands upright, controlled, while old images show bodies recoiling and lines breaking. His shot didn't come out of nowhere. It came with full intent. Top 7. Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard wasn't a striker waiting for chances. He was a midfielder who forced them. Over 700 competitive games, captain of an entire era, goals in finals, semi-finals, nights when other legs grew heavy. But when Gerrard shot from distance, it wasn't about technique or elegance. It was about urgency, about a moment when the ball was sent with maximum force, as if it had to compel a decision immediately. His shots thrived on timing and body posture. A long stride, upper body slightly forward, the instep fully swung through. The ball stayed low, accelerated late, and hit with a hardness that goalkeepers often only felt when it was too late. Tracking analyses from later years showed unusually high impact forces at comparatively short distances. Defenders who slid into the shot's path risked more than just losing the ball. Broken toes, severe bruises, knee problems after uncontrolled blocks. For some opponents, a single contact with Gerrard's shot was the moment after which they never defended without restraint again. Today, Gerrard is a fixture in the football landscape, visible on sidelines and in flashbacks of great games. In Liverpool, his name hangs not only on banners, but on memories associated with loudness. He stands on or next to the pitch, calm, focused, while his goals continue to strike through time with full force. His shot wasn't a highlight, it was a wake-up call. That was a generation where shots weren't calculated, but feared. A time when power, timing, and courage decided who stood tall and who paid the price. These names remind us that football once offered less protection, but knew more consequences. If you want to further understand this era, stay here. Follow this path through history, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your opinion below. Some legends you don't feel in your head, but in your body.